All right, let's build a coffee table. So I have my coffee table top all built. I used the 2x, joined it together, and this particular coffee table is going to have breadboard ends. So make sure you check out that video too. So on this build, I'm going to be using these tabletop clips. So you're going to want to cut your pocket holes on each side. And then if you have a biscuit cutter, is what I use when I do this, you're going to want to cut 2 biscuit holes the size of these clips, okay? So just make sure that they sit nice and tight against the project. So with that said, let's get dirty. Okay, like I said before, we're gonna start with all the prep work here. So we got to pick out 2 skirts that go at the top. Now the 2 that we pick out are the ones that we're going to put the biscuit holes in for the clips. So I have this one picked out and then this one picked out. So for my prep work, I'm going to cut all my pocket holes, but on this one and this one, I'm also cutting the 2 biscuit holes. I don't need to do that on the rest of the side skirts, but I will need to do that on the front and back skirt. So we're going to put those biscuit cuts about every 6 to 8 inches apart. So let's get started with all the prep work, and then we'll start the assembly. So if you're using the Rex Betty biscuit cutter like the one I have here, I have my fence set at 1/8 of an inch above the 1/2 inch mark. So I actually have it set at 5/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to cut 2 biscuit holes on the tops and then finish the rest of the prep work. All right, so I have all my side skirts done. If you're using the Craig K4 system like I have here, I'm actually cutting holes in A and C. So now I got to do the front and back skirts, and I'm going to do them the exact same way, where I'm putting 2 pocket holes, and then I'm going to cut about 4, and then I'm going to cut about 4 biscuit holes for the tabletop clips. All right, so now I'm getting ready to assemble the legs. Now, if you don't have the tabletop clips, you can also attach the top with pocket hole screws. Those will work just fine. I happen to have the tabletop clips, so I did the cuts for that. So I'm going to put some glue on each side and then start assembling the legs. So for the leg assembly, I'm going to use the bar clamp that you see there. You can see that I just used my 2 5/8 inch spacers and just laid them flat. That'll allow me to be able to turn it so I can tighten it. So I just lifted it up a little bit. So we have the top done. Now we got to put the bottom bracer on. So I'm going to be using again the 2 5/8 inch spacers, and I'm going to put the bottom piece on lifted just that high. So we'll start by putting some glue on the edge. We're going to do this for each side. Now, when we put the bottom piece on, we want it opposite of this top piece. So what do I mean? So this one is flush this way. So we want this one flush on the back side, because that's where we're going to be attaching our kind of our shelf piece there on the bottom. So we're going to put this on, and then we're going to throw the clamp on. So we just used our hands to square it up, and then we've got the clamp on there so we can throw in our pocket screws now. So we're going to loosen up our clamp, put it on the top side so we can put the bottom pocket hole screws in. Okay, so we have one set of legs done. Let's go ahead and do another set, and we're going to mirror it the exact same way. So we're going to have the top on the outside and the bottom on the inside. Now, if you're using the table clips like I am, make sure that you put the cuts that you made for your table clips down, so they're at the very bottom, so they'll meet up with the top of your coffee table. All right, so our legs are done. Now we're going to attach the side pieces, the side skirt. So make sure when you do this, again, if you're using the method that I am for attaching it with the table clips, that you make sure those table clips are facing down. These are the legs here. They are upside down. They are mirrored. So these pieces are on the inside. These pieces are on the outside. So let's go ahead and get the side skirt attached. So now that I have the side pieces on, I want to attach this shelf right here on the bottom. So it's not only going to be a shelf, but it's also going to be a great stabilizer for this coffee table. For this particular shelf, I just kind of glued together a couple 2x6s, ran them through my planer on one side, and that's what I'm going to be using. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a piece of scrap plywood here, and I'm just going to clamp that to that side right there. And I'm going to do the same for the other side. Now I got to make sure that my plywood is about the size of the shelf I'm attaching, because I'm also going to be putting clamps onto the shelf and plywood to hold it down. So now I want to take a measurement and I want the halfway point so I can put this right in the middle. All right, so I have my halfway points. So I'm going to go ahead and put this shelf on. Okay, so I have my shelf all centered up. I'm going to put a clamp. Okay, so I'm just using a few C-clamps here just to make sure that it's flush with the board that I have on there. Okay, and then I got a bar clamp here across the top. I'll just put a little bit of pressure on it just to make sure it doesn't move. And then I'm going to throw 4 pocket screws into the holes that I cut. And voila, the shelf is attached. All right, so before I put the top on it, I want to give it a good sanding. It's got some sharp edges here. So I want to do that before I put the top on so the top's not in my way. So I'm going to knock that out now, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the time has come to attach the top. So we've got to get it perfectly centered here, and then we're going to go ahead and do the attachment. So I want to not only use the clips to hold the base to the table, but I also want to put a bead of glue around it too. So I'm going to get this centered and then we'll move on. All right, so we got it centered up. Now I'm just going to draw a line, just basically outline where it is. And then I'm just going to lift up one edge and put the bead of glue around here. Sometimes I get lucky and it doesn't move. This time I got lucky. So I can go ahead and put the clamps on now. All right, so these are the clamps I'm going to be using. Now, these screws that come with these clamps are pretty much garbage. So I went ahead and got myself some 3/4 inch screws for this purpose right here. They work a lot better than the ones that came with it. So then it's just a matter of putting your piece in and then screwing it down. So there we go. We just made a breadboard end coffee table. So now we got to sand the bejesus out of it, and then we just got to pick which finish we want. I'm going to go with probably a satin urethane. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, keep it safe.